Hi, welcome back, beautiful, beloved souls. I have been away for 9 days. I was down in Brisbane celebrating with my son. I hope you are all well and welcome back. As I said, my name is Jem, Jem, and I'm an author and I'm also a psychic medium. On this channel, you will find commentaries, you will also find PowerPoints, and I don't fit one particular niche. I look at life and death through a lens, Lens, Jem's lens. So I will basically have a go at all types of content, all types of subject matter. And today I'm going to look at alcohol. And alcohol, before we get into the content proper, the chemical makeup of alcohol is C2H5OH. Now the C stands for carbon, so there are 2 carbon molecules to 5 hydrogen and OH, oxygen, hydrogen. Okay, there's no specific time amount, let me repeat that. I've written this down. So there's no specific time or amount of time to when a person can become an alcoholic. What happens is a person craves more and more due to the feeling they get when they drink. This quickly leads to alcohol dependence. It depends on certain factors for how long that takes, be it months or years. Heavy alcohol use is more than 4 drinks on any day or more than 14 drinks per week. Women have a different tolerance, and it is less than 3 drinks per day and more than 7 per week. So, how do you know if you are now an alcoholic? There are many signs and symptoms. Experiencing temporary blackouts and short-term memory loss is very serious. Exhibiting signs of irritability and extreme mood swings. Other signs like to numb feelings, change reality, relax, deal with stress, or feel normal by drinking. They say you can have a problem with alcohol and not be an alcoholic based on physical dependency. In other words, you go long periods without drinking, you may not be an alcoholic. There are 4 types of drinkers: a social drinker, conformity drinker, enhancement drinker, and coping drinker. All drink for different reasons, different motivations. I found when I was a drinker, I was social and binged. So when I went clubbing, I'd like to drink, to party, to conform. But there were times of binge drinking in isolation to get wasted because I hated the emotional pain I was in and believed by drinking I could numb and escape. But drinking is only a temporary fix and actually makes you worse off. When you get pissed and drunk and the toilet god becomes your only friend, and next day hungover, sick, foggy, and all that stress, all that trauma is back, but worse. Sometimes you drink and black out, not knowing what you did. Drinking loosens inhibitions, and I found myself in situations that normally I wouldn't be, say, sexual. Sometimes being drunk leads to irrational anger and violence, fights, brawls, death, murder. Drink and drive, you not only run foul of the law, but you could have an accident, kill yourself or others. You could fall asleep drunk, vomit and drown. Drinking makes you think illogically and irrationally. The reason for alcohol and aggression is because of the way alcohol affects the brain. Alcohol interferes with the brain's communication pathways and can affect the way the brain looks and works. Alcohol makes it harder for the brain areas controlling balance, memory, speech, judgment, ability to do your job. Alcohol results in a higher likelihood of injuries and other negative outcomes. Long-term risks: high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, liver disease, digestive problems, cancer of the breast, cancer of mouth, cancer of throat, cancer of the esophagus, cancer of the voice box, liver, colon, and rectum. Alcohol interacts with several neurotransmitters systems in the brain's reward and stress circuits. These interactions result in alcohol's acute reinforcing effects. Following chronic exposure, these interactions in turn can cause changes in neural function that underlie the development of alcoholism. No medicine can cure alcohol use disorder, but some can help you as you recover. Google mentioned disulfiram antabuse, which makes you feel sick or throw up if you drink. I'm unsure if this is available in Australia where I live. There's also acamprosate or Campril, and this can help with cravings. I know if you go into detox of people being prescribed diazepam. I do know if you are a serious, severe alcoholic, do not go cold turkey. If you suffer or are a heavy drinker and want to give up, I highly recommend rehab detox and get professional help. I'm not a drug or alcohol counselor. I'm just giving you facts. If you seriously want help giving up, seek professional help. Groups like SMART standing for Self-Management and Recovery Therapy, are online, and some SMART groups you can actually go to. Now, some people like AA, Alcohol Anonymous, but for me, I feel that is a cult. Remember, you are never alone with this problem. And also remember, like I said, if you are drinking out of trauma, you're drinking out of pain, it never solves it. In fact, after that drinking, let me try and make this easier for you. So you have like an issue or a craving, and as you drink, you get high and then you come down. It could be hangover, feeling yuck, and all that pain, all that trauma, all that stress is back, but worse, because you have been drinking to try to forget. I mentioned in my little speech as I was talking about alcohol that I at one stage was a binge drinker. I don't drink anymore, meaning I don't, as I live alone and I don't drink alone. If I go visit like my son, I will have a couple of glasses of wine, but that's over a few days. And I also want to point out that if you have an addiction, whatever that addiction may be, sometimes if you haven't or you're not in recovery, an addiction can lead to a different type of addiction, and sometimes having an addictive personality, you could be addicted to lots of things. Please do reach out if you have a problem with any types of addiction. Please seek professional help. That's therapy, or even talk to your doctor. And like I said, there are groups available. So SMART, that I mentioned before, when I was a drug addict, I went through SMART, and I found that a lot of participants do have an alcohol problem. So they're very good groups. You feel really, valued. I found those, like NA and AA, there was a reinforcement to say, hi, my name's Jem and I'm an addict, when that's not the case. The past, I was an addict, but I'm not that person now. And SMART is a short term, so you can, if you want, you can stay there for years, but there is more of an emphasis on, getting you well, where when you're with AA and NA, you are there for the rest of your life. So the SMART management and recovery training, they have 4 goals. The first goal is building and maintaining motivation. The second goal is coping with urges and cravings. And the third goal is problem solving. The last goal is a lifestyle balance. And they have a cognitive triangle of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So the spirit is the counselor develops discrepancy, expresses empathy, amplifies ambivalence, and rolls with conflict, and supports self-efficiency. Now, SMART doesn't just deal with alcohol addiction, it deals with all types of addiction, whether that be sex, whether that be gaming, whether that be social media, whether that be shopping, all sorts of addiction. Thank you very much for watching, and I did want, as I was telling you about alcohol, to share with you my experience with alcohol. Please drop a comment below, and thank you again. Please be kind to each other and to yourselves. Please always be respectful. Love, light, and blessings. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.